Okay, we're back. You shouldn't touch your face, but just wanted to see when you're out walking about in the public, you should wear a mask. It's protective from everything that's going on. Hopefully, you're staying at home like I've been for most of the time, but occasionally we do have to go out. So, my wife made me this really nice homemade, uh, custom made mask that works really well. So, anyway, scarves work, but some sort of breath to protect your breathing as we go forward. So, my chair is kind of, see, go down a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so now we're ready to finish up with the last 8 of the questions. We had the first 8, went through them, did a pretty good job. How did I jump over to the other side like that? Technology, yeah. So let's take a look at what happens as we come over here, and we're going to look at question number 9. So we're actually going to be doing some division, which is similar to multiplication, except that what we're going to find is we have to take the reciprocal. Remember, division is the opposite of multiplication, and the opposite with a fraction is the reciprocal. So we're going to just take the reciprocal first, and then it's multiplication, just like we've been doing. But it'll also help us once we do that to take a look at the factoring. So again, heavy duty factoring, and then just matching the top and the bottom together to reduce, simplify like we were doing before, and we're all good to go. So I'm going to start here. There's not really a lot of room up at the top, so we're going to just bring it, I'm just going to copy this fraction here, y to the third minus 9y, and then y squared minus 81. So the first fraction, nothing happens, it just stays nice solid put. But when you have this division rather than multiplication, remember we are going to take the reciprocal. The top goes to the bottom goes to the top, and that's really, and then it becomes multiplication. Okay. If you want to, you can sort of start factoring while you do it, but I personally have trouble when I start doing 2 things at once. If I walk and chew gum, I end up tripping, right? So y squared plus 18y plus 81. And now you start to see that the cross ones, I don't know, when I grew up we called this sort of kitty quarter. I don't really know what that meant, but that meant that you lived kind of across the corner like that. My best friend lived kitty quarter from my house. We had to cross the street like that. And then the top goes to the bottom, so there's a y squared minus 4y minus 45. And you might just, as you look at these things, you see the factoring. 45 is 9 times 5, and there's a 9 there. Hey, it's looking good. Oops, I might be I was thinking this is a cube, but notice there's a y and a y. So what's going to happen is the y will factor out. So let me maybe just change color to show it. So I'm going to, for the first part here, this first fraction, factor out a y, and then what's left is y squared minus 9. Hopefully you see that 9 is 3 squared, so here's a difference of squares. I'll do that in the next step. Maybe should have done it in the first step, but we'll see. Y squared minus 81, that's a difference of squares. 81 is 9 squared, 9 times 9. So this bottom, we'll go ahead and factor it while we're doing it. It's y plus 9, y minus 9. Or the other way around. Remember, when you're multiplying, you can, order doesn't matter. You could have either one of these first. But I think what they're trying to do is some people might be tempted to take y squared minus 9. Let's just cancel it here. But notice y squared minus 9 is not the same thing as y minus 9. we are not ready to cancel yet. Okay. I keep trying to break myself of that habit of that word, right? But there it is again. The more I talk to you about it, the more I'll probably become conscious of it, and then I'll have a good chance of stopping it. So let's take this numerator here. Let's break this down. 81 is 9 times 9. You could also do 3 times 27, but since it's a plus, what two numbers add to 18? Yes, 81, 9 times 9, and 9 plus 9 gives us 18, so that's got to be what it is. So it's going to be a y and a y, because that gives us y squared, and then a plus 9 and a plus 9. That's how that factors. In the denominator, we've got a y squared. Now notice we've got subtraction. We got negatives here, so we'll talk about that as we go to it. But 9 could be 9 times, or 45 is 9 times 5 as a product. And then I need to subtract them. At 9 minus 5, that is 4. So that's got to be the partners that stick together. Could be 1 times 45, but, or what is it? That would be 3 times 15 would also work, but that doesn't give us the correct middle number. So it's going to be 9 and 5. So over here we've got y, a 9 and a 5. Now this is where we got to, it's negative, which means we subtract. The middle term is negative. That means we're more negative than positive. So the bigger number, 9 in this case, is going to carry the negative. So that means that the 5 has to have a plus. We're not quite done, but to save ourselves a little bit, what I'm going to do is this y squared minus 9. Instead of having to rewrite everything, let's use the magic of technology. Something called an eraser. Now it's magically y squared. We're going to change this to y plus 3, y minus 3. Okay. Now, oops. Start to praise the value of, let's see, here we go. Let's get a small eraser. Let's come in here. I'm going to leave that y there. I want to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So this is y plus 3, y minus 3, or again the other way around. And then let's change colors and let's see what cancels. So we've got a y plus 9 here and here. We've got a y plus 5. That doesn't do anything for us. 3 and 15, no, that doesn't work. See, sometimes you were seeing this, so you thought maybe 45 is going to be 3 times 15 because we get the canceling that way, but it didn't work because of the middle term. It looks like that's really all we're going to get. So we really did, nothing's going to happen to these. We could have left this like that. See, I don't see the right answer here. Did I do something wrong here? This is y minus 9. This is y minus 9. Not finding my answer up there. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and write this out, what we have. Make sure oh, it's a copying error. Look at this. So I wasn't finding my answer, and the reason I wasn't because, see, this is a plus 4, and look at, I put a -4. Some of you are probably spotting that, and see, that's why I need you in class, so you could yell at me, Little Crow, it's not negative, it's positive. Okay, so that's a +4, so what does that mean? It means this 9 is positive, and the 5 here is negative. And so it's going to be one of these answers. This will cancel with this now, and we're going to be okay. So this factoring I did doesn't do me any good, so I'm going to put it back together. Y times y squared minus 9. And in the denominator, y minus 9 times y minus 5. And that's this one, that's C right here. So notice that's what I like about the multiple choice. Oftentimes, if you do make a mistake, like a copy error here, they didn't anticipate that, so the answer wasn't there. I knew I had done something wrong, so I took a closer look. Most of these errors are from either not doing the reciprocal, just going ahead and multiplying, or some of these you could get if you reciprocated the first one, which you know, so you flip the first one instead of the second. No, that's not right. Flip the second one. All right, now we're on track. And just remember to look over how you're doing it, where your errors are. Okay, let's come down to 10. It's going to be a similar type issue, division. So we're going to take the reciprocal of the second fraction factor and go from there. But let's see if Little Crow can watch his copying. We have a little bit of room up here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's factor this as we go. So this top one is z squared plus 12 plus 32. So what I'm looking for is two numbers that multiply to give me 32, add to 12, right? Because it's a plus. 32 is 4 times 4 times 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. Okay, so and like I was saying last time, I probably would have been better off if I would have factored, because I would have looked closer. So this is going to be z 4 and 8, and they're both positive because everything's positive. And again, if you're not sure, you can always FOIL back out to see that you got the same thing, and you're good. Now at the bottom, we've got a 36. We could think of 6 times 6, but 6 plus 6 is not 13. So there's another one. 36 is also, what, 9 times 3? 9 times 3 and 9, 36. 9 times 4. 9 times 4. Yes, 9 times 4. And I didn't think 3, so that's 27. 9 times 4, and 9 plus 4 is 13. So those are that's the partners that are going to work. So z plus 4, z plus 9. Okay, we're going to turn this to multiplication, and then we're going to take the reciprocal. I'm going to take the simpler one first, so I'm going to take the numerator, factor out a z, and so when I write this down, it's going to be z. I always put this little hash marks there because otherwise they look like a 2. I can't tell whether I wrote a 2 or a z. So take the z out. What's left inside is z plus 8. And in the denominator, I see 63. It's minus 63, so it's going to be subtraction. I know that 9 times 7 is 63, and when you take 9 minus 7, you do get 2. So let's go with this. 9 and 7 are the numbers. Put 9 here, 7 there. Since it's a subtraction, a negative, one's positive, one's negative. Since the 2 is positive, that means the larger one is positive. So that means we have a plus 9 here and a minus 7 there. So let's see what we have in the top and the bottom. Z plus 4, that'll give us a factor of 1. Z plus 9, that gives us a factor of 1. Z plus 8, that gives us a factor of 1. And then finally what's left behind, Z minus 7 over Z. And that's answer D. Just like that. We didn't need all this space down here, so let's take some of this out. And so now this one is a combination. We're going to be asked to add fractions, so common denominators. But also the symbols here. F plus g of x means that we're going to take the f function, add it to the g function. So we're going to take x over x minus 5 plus 8 over x minus 5. Now when we add fractions, what we do is, I'm not going to put it equals because it's not an equation, but the next step would be, we've got the common denominator, so you just take the numerators and add them. So that's going to be x minus 5, and the numerator gives you x plus 8. Because we already got a common denominator. That's just option B. And notice this one, I think they multiplied x minus 5 times x minus 5, but the top part, you could do that, but you'd have to do that to the top, and that's not what we got there. So that's that one right there. Just add them together, common denominator already. See, take off a little bit of space. And now we're going to do some subtraction. And the problem we have, though, is we do not have common denominators. So this is going to be kind of two things. So again, we're subtracting the f function from the g function. So that is 1 over x plus 9 minus 1 over x minus 9. Now these denominators are not the same, and you can't make them the same. You could change, even if you bring this negative through. So what we need to do is get common denominators. And the common denominator is going to be x plus 9 times x minus 9. We just multiply them together because they can't be factored or anything. So we multiply both of these fractions. No, what do we do? Okay, so the x plus 9, it needs this x minus 9. So we multiply the denominator by x minus 9. And what we do in the bottom, we got to do to the top. Okay. The other fraction, to get the common denominator, what it needs is x plus 9. So what we do to the bottom, we've got to do to the top. And what in fact what we're doing is we are multiplying by a form of 1, right? X plus 9 over x, that's a form of 1. That's just 1. When you multiply by 1, you don't change anything. Okay, except how it looks. I guess it changed something, but you don't change the value. So here we're going to have, in the first fraction, you've got x minus 9 times 1 in the top, so you distribute the 1 through, and that just becomes x minus 9. In the bottom, we get x minus 9 times x plus 9. And we're going to subtract the second fraction. We get the same denominator, x minus 9 x plus 9, and in the numerator we get x plus 9. Let's get a little bit more room here. Let's change color back to green. Okay, so we're going to get a common denominator. I'm going to come over here. X minus 9 oops, I keep forgetting to check my head. Again, I need you guys to kind of yell out, hey little crow, you're in the way. So hopefully you can see this a little bit better now. This is what I should be doing. And this is x plus 9. It's our common denominator. And then we just write over the numerators. It's going to be x minus 9. And then minus x plus 9. So that gives us, now the key part is when this negative, it's going to distribute to both of the terms. So when I write it down, it's going to be minus x minus 9. Okay, I won't put an equals because it's not really equal. But we got x minus x is 0, negative 9 minus 9, which gives us negative 18 in the numerator, and x minus 9, x plus 9 in the denominator. And that's option B. Okay, there we go. I should probably, well, I'll just stay in the corner here. Okay, so that's good. Let's see, 13, got what, 3 more? 13, 14, 15, 4 more. Solve the equation. And again, this is going to be similar to what we were doing. Let me give a little bit more room. With equal sign, you can, sort of like we did before we were solving, you could multiply both sides, or you could multiply by the common denominator. So let's go here, 8 over x plus 9 equals 7 over 5. I'm going to go with the common denominator, which is x plus 9 times 5. We'll just multiply both sides by that. And you'll see you'll get the same thing just like we did earlier if you cross multiply. But because we've got this equals, we can multiply by anything we want as long as we do it to both sides. And when we multiply by the common denominator, what ends up happening, 5 goes into 5 once, so we're going to get just 7 times x plus 9 there. Over here, we'll get x plus 9 canceling out, and then just 5 times 8. So come over here, 5 times 8 is 40, equals, and then we're going to distribute the 7. We get 7x, and plus 7 times 9 is 63, plus 63. And we're just going to solve for x here, so we will subtract 63 from both sides. Leaves us with 7x on the right side. 63 minus 40, that's 20, with 7, that's 17, and it's negative because 63 is negative, it's bigger than 7, so negative 17. And then we are going to divide by 7. Let's see, did I get that right? 5 times 8 is 40. We got 7x plus 63. X plus 9, that's 5. Did I miss a negative in here somewhere? Oh, yeah, see, sometimes when you subtract upside down, it's not 17, it's 23. So, no, it can't be 23. Of course it's 23. That's why sometimes beneficial go ahead and use a calculator. 63, so it's 40, gets you to 60 plus 3 more, so it's 23. So it's 23 all along. Divide both sides by 7. So that gives us x equals minus 23 over 7. And you can put the minus in the top, you can put it in the front, you can put it at the bottom. All of those are the same, so C is our correct answer. Okay, let's come on down and do it again with a slightly different one. And you'll see that this is kind of nice because it's got common denominators. So if you cross multiply, you end up doing more work than is really needed. I'm going to just try this up. If we multiply by the common denominator, which is x minus 15, watch how slick this is. X minus 15 on this side, x minus 15 on that side. X minus 15 cancels with x minus 15. X minus 15 cancels with x minus 15. We simply get x plus 10 equals negative 5. Subtract 10 from both sides. Leaves us with x equals negative 15. Boom, done. Simple. Now if we cross multiply, which I usually do, but we would have had to FOIL this out. We would have distributed here. Once we moved everything around, we'd still end up with x equals negative 15, but we would have had a lot more work. That's it. Okay, and I'm kind of keeping myself. I apologize if I've been writing behind my head, but I'll try to keep my eyes over here. In fact, let me change a setting. There we go. Now it's a little bit easier for me to look at this side here. Of course, you don't know what I'm talking about, but I've got two different screens, and it allows me to kind of see what I'm doing. Okay. This start getting something kind of gnarly here. Come down, move this up a little bit. There we go. And give a little extra room. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we've got to solve, we can eliminate the fractions by multiplying by the common denominator. So what you'll see is if you were to factor this, x squared minus 9, it factors into, remember, x plus 3 times x minus 3. And we've got an x minus 3 there, x plus 3. This is really the common denominator. Okay, so one thing is you could get the common denominator and then add everything and go from there. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to multiply the whole equation by the common denominator. Now on the left-hand side, I'm just going to, basically, you would think that there's a parentheses here. So whatever you multiply this side, it will distribute to both of these terms. So I'm going to write this out and I'm going to leave some space, and then you're going to see I'm going to multiply everything by x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so let's go with the green here. I'm going to have 7 times x plus 3, giving some room, minus 5 times x minus 3. Maybe I don't need that much room, but I'm going to put it anyway, equals 4. And I'm going to write that as x plus 3, x minus 3. And so I factored it, right? So now I'm going to multiply each side by x plus 3, x minus 3. And remember, I'm distributing, so we'll multiply this term and this term. Over here, I multiply by x plus 3, x minus 3. And now I'm going to just sort of simplify. So 7 over x plus 3, the x plus 3 cancels with the x plus 3 in the top. And what's left is 7 times x minus 3. So let's go ahead and distribute that. 7 times x gives us 7x. 7 times 3 gives us a negative 21. On this side, we get x minus 3 canceling with the x minus 3. We have x plus 3 times 5, but also keep track, we've got this minus here. It's going to distribute as well. So this will become negative x, negative 3. So, and then we're going to multiply that by 5, minus 5x, minus 15. Okay. And I really like the right-hand side. X plus 3 cancels, x minus 3 cancels, and so we're left with 4. Combine like terms. So on this side, 7x minus 5x gives us positive 2x. Negative 21 minus 15 is negative 36. Add 36 to both sides. So that gives us 2x, right, equals 40. And then divide both sides by 2, leaving us with x equals 20. Now let's, oh, yeah. So it's this one. It's not negative 20, which might throw you off. And a lot of times when you're doing a multiple choice test, if you, like say you didn't even know how to do this, I'd look at this and I'd see 20 and negative 20, those two that are very close to each other, one of those is correct. Take a guess and flip a coin and you'll get it right. Or you'll get it wrong, but 50-50 chance instead of a 25% chance. That's oftentimes how it works. We've just got one more question to take a look at, and then what I'm going to do is for Wednesday, I'm going to post another practice test, option B, and then we can go over it. So this one, really the same thing. The only difference is notice 2x minus 8, that's factor out the 2. That's really 2 times x minus 4. There's our common denominator. We're going to do the same thing as we did to this last one, multiply by the common denominator. So we've got 4 over x minus 4 plus 1 over 2 times x minus 4 equals 9 over 2. And then what I'm going to do is multiply by the common denominator, 2 times x minus 4. And remember, when I multiply the left-hand side, it's going to distribute to both of the terms over this addition. So 2 times x minus 4. And on this side, I multiply by the same thing, 2 times x minus 4. X minus 4 cancels with x minus 4. I'm left with 2 times 4. Yeah, give myself a little bit more room. And I'm doing okay. Oops, the other way. Answers are down there too. And I will post this this Word document so you can take a look at it and see if all the chicken scratches make sense. 2 times 4 is 8. Here, the 2 cancels with the 2. The 4, x minus 4 cancels. Remember, there was a 1 that I sort of covered up here. So that's just going to be plus 1. That's all that's left. 1 over 1 if you want, which is 1. This side, the 2 cancels with the 2. So I've got 9 times x minus 4. So let's go ahead and distribute 9x. 9 times 4 is 36. And then we just want to solve, finish going down. So this gives us 8 plus 1 is 9. 9x minus 36. We add 36 to both sides. Nine plus 36 is going to be 45, equals 9x. Divide both sides by 9. So that leaves us with x. 45 divided by 9 is 5. There it is, right there. Okay, so not this 45, but you have to do the division. So that took us through the practice test. Hopefully this is coming back to you, this idea of factoring. If not, go back through the homework problems, take a look at them, get some practice with the factoring. But I'm hoping that even though we've had these 4 weeks off, that it all sort of is coming back and making sense again. And is working out for you. So we're going to leave it at that. Keep making the progress. Go back through these. Whatever you didn't understand, those are the ones we're going to need to look at some additional problems. I'm going to post an additional practice test with slightly different problems, but of the similar type. And then, we'll just keep meeting together in class for when you have questions. And I'll keep posting videos. You can also send me emails, and I can make little videos. If our times are not matching up, we can do it that way. So we're back, we're moving forward, and we're going to be successful. Thanks.